Today we have Guillaume Rocca from Domaine, Paul Jaboulet.
Thank you for having me.
Last night was quite a good shot. It was the first event of Uncorked.
Yeah.
It's a wine portfolio tasting organized by Farsons Direct. And welcome to Wine Dine Combine. What was your impression after last night?
I was quite impressed because I had a lot of people all during the tasting. A lot of people came, were interested in about the wine. Yesterday was more private clients. Today is going to be more trade and business Horeca oriented.
Industry.
So no, I'm pretty happy to be here, and I know it's the first edition, and I think it's a success.
Which wines did you pour yesterday from the Domaine?
So yesterday we poured Parallel 45, which is our Côte-Rôtie, made out of 5 different grape varieties from the southern Rhône Valley. We had the Saint-Joseph also. We had the Crozes-Hermitage and Hermitage appellations. So those are the appellations that we had, both red and white.
Could you introduce yourself and the winery briefly?
With pleasure. I'm Guillaume Rocca, so the export manager for Paul Jaboulet Aîné and Domaine de la Chapelle, who are 2 separate estates owned by the Frey family. And I'm in charge of Europe, South America and Africa. So Paul Jaboulet Aîné is an estate that was created in 1834. On the birthplace is Crozes-Hermitage and Hermitage appellations. But nowadays we have more than 100 hectares throughout all of the Rhône Valley, so between Lyon and Valence. And we produce Syrah for the reds and Roussanne, Marsanne and Viognier for the white grapes. And the most important part of our production is in Crozes-Hermitage and Hermitage, but we also have some Côte-Rôtie, Condrieu, Saint-Joseph, Cornas and Saint-Péray, and some Côte-du-Rhône from the southern of the Rhône Valley.
When it comes to the Rhône Valley as an appellation, it has very strong identity. So what defines it today after so many years? Because the market is shifting towards a younger population, trends.
Well, what we do on our side is that we change some vinification techniques. So, for example, on the whites, we don't underdo the malolactic fermentation. That helps us with climate change. So we have more precise wines, more mineral-driven, acidity-driven wines, crispy wine, especially. So, for example, in Condrieu, when you have Viognier, which is already a very aromatic grape, not making the malolactic fermentation helps also the wine to have more direct and fresh notes. And also for the Syrah, we destem everything. So it's helped also to have higher acidity, because when you don't destem the grapes, you will have a potassium level that goes higher up, but the acidity that goes down when you see the analysis. So this is what we try to do, and also we use more and more concrete eggs for our whites, especially, and we use bigger contents like 600 liters, 500 liters oak barrels also to have minimum of wood. We don't want to use too much new oak to have more an expression of the terroir. You don't want the oak
overpowering the grape.
And what I find also very interesting about the Northern Rhône Valley is that, especially for the red, we have only one single grape, which is the Syrah. And it's really an expression of different terroirs in the Rhône Valley. And for example, usually we say that we have two types of Syrah in the Rhône Valley. We have the right bank with Côte-Rôtie, Cornas, Saint-Joseph, which is more a cold Syrah because you have more granitic soils in it. And the other side with Hermitage and Crozes-Hermitage that we call hot Syrah because it's more down south, low terraces and rolling pebbles for the
more familiar with the later.
And Hermitage, the hill, which is really an important part of our vineyard, and which is a hill that is really interesting when it comes to terroir, because it's a combination of 4 geological eras that combine in one plot of land, one Hermitage appellation, which is really beautiful.
Which wines best represent Jaboulet style and philosophy?
I would say Parallel 45, which is a brand that was created in 1950 by the Jaboulet family. And the general idea of this brand was to create a wine historically that was blended from the north and the north and the south in the Rhône Valley. So basically you had for the red, Syrah was coming from the northern Rhône Valley, and Grenache Noir was coming from the southern Rhône Valley. And it's called Parallel 45 because there is a parallel that basically nearly
You're
divide.
blending fire and ice, you know.
Yeah, and the idea was to have really a generic and a broad idea of what type of wines you can have in the Rhône Valley, and also the idea was to say that everybody can have a bottle of Jaboulet. From every person in the world can have a bottle of Jaboulet, from Parallel 45 up to La Maison Bleue, which is now the high end of
premium.
the premium one of Paul Jaboulet Aîné, and then you have Domaine de la Chapelle, who is separated, who is the iconic wines. I would say also Domaine de Talabert is really important for us. It's the historic estates in the Paul Jaboulet Aîné winery. When the winery was created in 1834, it was created on Domaine de Talabert. So it's a very, very old vineyard. You can find very old Syrah, up to 100 years old. And it's a very important part also of our winery. And of course, La Chapelle, who is separated from Paul Jaboulet Aîné, is the most iconic and the most renowned of our brands. And I would say La Maison Bleue is also a very important SKU, a very important cuvée for us. So Parallel 45, Domaine de Talabert, La Maison Bleue, and Domaine de la Chapelle
On its own.
On its own.
When it comes to Syrah, you know that Syrah is planted everywhere right now, but what Rhône, Syrah, Northern Rhône, Syrah, what expression gives to Syrah that it grows nowhere else?
Well, there is no comparison with Syrah from the Northern Valley, because the birthplace of Syrah is in Northern Rhône Valley. So it's the indigenous grape that is from the area. So if you want to really have a feel and understand what is Syrah, you will go to...
It's like a note for the wine tasters around.
Yes, I mean, if you want to understand Chardonnay, you will go to Burgundy. If you want to, you see what I mean? You need to... I think it's really important in the wine world, and now that you have wine from all over the world, and mostly the grapes that are planted are Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, Chardonnay, Merlot, and all those grapes. I think it's important to go back to
the source.
To the source, and where are those indigenous grapes come from?
They originated.
The original, exactly.
When do your wines shine the most? On the tastings, on the cellar, or on the table with the food?
I think if you want, the best way to, for example, to taste La Chapelle is to go on the hill of La Chapelle and to taste the bottle in front of La Chapelle.
Smell the air.
Smell the air, see the overview of the Rhône Valley. I think it's the best, the top, but I mean...
Put yourself in the winemaker's shoes.
But it's always good to taste the wine in the cellar with the people that made the wine. It's also the most, it's usually very special. But with our wines, you can have a lot of different pairing with food, with meat, with fish, with cheese, with white and reds. So I mean the three, but the best, of course, is always in the vineyard for all the wines.
Thank you for being part of Wine Dine Combine.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
For the wines, I'll visit you later and taste some of your wines.
I'll be behind my stand and waiting for you.
Thank you, and have fun on
Thank you very much.
Uncorked.
Thank you.